Hey everybody, Lucas from Our Liberty House here, and today we're back with another Talking Tomatoes episode, and the primary focus of today is going to be talking about trellising. And I'm sitting here in front of one of our vertical cattle panel trellises that we make, and we're just going to kind of go over some different strategies, techniques, like why to trellis, why not to trellis, and why we trellis. And we kind of need to look back at the anatomy and the growth patterns of a tomato and understand that tomatoes aren't supposed to grow like vertical, bushy plants, but that's how we have trained them to get the best fruits. Like a tomato is supposed to be a low-lying bush, and that's why they have all the furs on their stems, because they can shoot roots out and shoot more plants out, and that's why you get suckers. So us trellising them is important for us to be able to harvest the fruit, but it's not really what the tomato wants to do. So, like I said, they'll keep growing, and we want to give them support. We use these, and then we also are trying a little mini Florida weave kind of system. I'll show you guys this year. I'll walk you over to our arch trellis and show you kind of what we did last year. And I'll even talk about tomato cages, because I have a spare one and kind of the pros and cons of everything. I think the thing to remember is that like tomato cages and trellising are very like controversial, or like you just have different camps. You have the vertical trellis like single leader people, you have the Florida weave people, you have the tomato cage people, and you just need to find out what works best for you in your area and your style. I'll say like my parents have had a garden in the same spot for 28 years, and they use tomato cages, and they always have a bumper harvest. But we're going to kind of go over some different stuff that we like to do, like with the vertical, like single, double leader kind of stuff. If you haven't checked it out already, please check out our pruning video, because I'll kind of talk about like how we prune for trellising. It's just the previous Talking Tomatoes episode. So let's get going. I'm going to kind of go over what we have going on and how to do it. All right, everybody, the first stop is going to be this vertical trellis. It's made out of cattle panel and some redwood. Check out our video on that if you haven't already seen it. But you could do this just with stakes and cattle panel if you didn't want to go with the redwood. So all of these are indeterminate tomatoes. That's all this video is going to be about. If you grow determinate tomatoes, then probably not going to apply. But these are San Marzanos, and then the tall one is our cherry tomato on the right side there. And you can see all we're using the cattle panel for is support, and we're weaving it in. Let's see if we're weaving it in and out. We just use these little tomato ties to be able to take this one off, because you can see it's already back through this way, and then it'll go through this way and vice versa. And what we do is we single leader or double leader these. So check out our pruning video again, talk about that. So this is a leader, and I'm gonna split this one. You can't really see, he's down there. I'm gonna let that sucker grow, and we'll have 2 leaders. And all we do is just weave them in and out of the cages. You can see like this one's ready to go. You could really just do that. You don't have to use the tomato ties. I kind of like to use the ties just so that I know it's gonna be where I want it to be. That's really all it is. It's just weaving in and out. And really, to talk about what's beneficial about this kind of growing is how tall you can get them. We'll let them grow, a foot above that and just start bushing out all the way down this. So we'll single or double leader them, like I talked about, all the way up and let them fruit. But then once they get to the top, I'll let them start bushing out, and we'll have a whole giant tomato wall here. I think we should probably get going over this direction, and we'll talk about these mini Florida weave systems I set up, and I got another one over there we'll go talk about. All right, so here is one of our planter boxes. It's a 2-foot by 2-foot tree box, and I have 2 indeterminate Berkeley tie-dye tomatoes, and we are trying to do a little mini Florida weave with this. And so all it is for us is 2 really long redwood leftover scraps that I've drilled holes in about every 6 inches. We'll probably only tie them up about at every foot, but drilling the holes every 6 inches kind of gives us option if we need more support or less. So all I've done, like I said, is just staked these all the way in, and then I'm going to use some garden twine. They actually sell like big rolls of like tomato twine, but we had this and it works. So all I'm going to do here is just throw this line in. Let's see if you can see me here. And then go through this one over here. I'll just feed some line through here, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do it this way. Like, you can just like wrap it around, but this is kind of what I do. So, get it all the way over to here. Just cut it. I just want to pull it kind of as tight as possible. Pull it really tight. Do a couple overhand knots, and you know what they say, if you can't tie a knot, tie a lot. Just do a couple overhands, that'll be tight, and what you'll see is now these plants have some more support. And so we'll just keep doing that all the way up this whole trellis, and they'll grow in the middle. Once again, single or double leader, doesn't matter, we're just gonna sandwich them between string. This is probably the easiest way to trellis anything. You could definitely use T-posts or leftover wood like we did, but really all it is you need 2 vertical structures and some twine. So it's definitely the easiest, most relaxed, and probably the most commonly used for large tomato growers, but it's not something that you can't use in your backyard. All right, let's move on to the other one. Alright, so last trellis here, something kind of cool. We built this arched trellis with these same cattle panels, and you'd really grow them the same exact way you would grow on a normal cattle panel trellis, just weaving them in and out. And you can see this is a cherry tomato from last year, and you can see how tall they'll get. And you just grow all the way to the top. Need to cut it out. We were kind of hoping it might overwinter, but it didn't. So same kind of strategy here, same kind of vertical trellis that we had last one, and really your options are endless with it. You know, there's other people that'll grow like a, let's say like a single lower and lane system where there's a wire that goes, or a string that goes straight up and down, and then they grow the tomato around it. But we don't do that, so I'm not an expert on it. Let's kind of go finish over here. Let's see the other 2 trellises. This is the same concept, it's just wood. It's got our tomatillos going on it. And the last thing I want to cover is why I don't really agree with using these, or not agree, but I don't think it's your best option, is the tomato cages. And I've used them and I've had success, and like I said earlier, my parents have had great success, but I think there's better ways. So if you look at this right here, let's just look really at the height difference. We're gonna have a little bit of a depth perception issue here, but if I use this, and this isn't even pushed all the way in the ground, I'm only gonna be able to grow that tomato to the top of this. I'm gonna have to cut it, you know, up there, and then I'm gonna force that whole tomato to grow in this confined space. And if you watched our last video on pruning, you know that tomatoes that are crowded are really prone to fungal infection. So you're kind of limiting yourself. Like, these tomatoes want to grow tall, let's give them something tall to grow up. You're giving yourself more opportunity for disease. So I'm not saying you can't use these, but I think if you were looking to expand kind of what you're doing in the garden, like a vertical trellis like this, or a lower and lean, or a Florida weave, might give you a better option because it's more versatile. So that's just my opinion on the tomato cages. I think you're just constricting yourself and you're setting yourself up for failure with future fungal disease. But if you've had them working forever, then probably just keep doing what you're doing. Well, I think that's the end of this Talking Tomatoes episode here with our Liberty House. This is all about trellising. I think the next one we'll do maybe is some fruit care or mid-season fertilizer, but I really appreciate your guys' time here. Please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us get to know what everybody wants to do, and leave a comment if you have any questions or comments, or you think we missed something that we should retouch on. Appreciate it. Have a good day.